Nights. Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
Hey, everybody. What's going on this fine Friday night? Here's what we're going to talk about. I want to talk about Sandman. and also some Westworld. And then anything else that strikes our fancy.
Okay.
Strikes our cat fancy.
Hey.
But first, how are you two doing?
I'm PG.
Everything hurts and I'm dying.
Oh, Jesus. Somehow, nobody, of course, obviously, nobody has an idea of like the conversation we had before this, and somehow it got darker when we went on air.
No, it's been a long week at work, and my voice is like gone, and and I have a lot of joint pain, but that's much ado about nothing. I always have that.
We are
welcome to Friday. You're starting to see already why we don't do this on Friday.
What a difference a day makes.
Right. Really it is. Yep.
Oh,
I only have like 4 days worth of energy, and on the 5th day, no. Don't even knock on my door with a package that Amazon falsely delivered to the wrong house. We just needed furnace filters, Amazon. Is that too much to ask? I mean, hi.
We're doing good. We're all doing good here.
We're fine.
Well, either we're going to talk about Sandman and Westworld, or we're just going to work through some things.
We're just going to watch Jesse descend into madness, and that's like Sandman.
Yeah.
You ever seen a bearded man weep?
You're about to see 2 of them. Because I'm going to make Randy cry, and then I'll cry. Because I'll feel bad about it. But
oh, man. Okay. Yeah, let's just... Well, before we get into the feature topic, has there been anything else? I know, Jesse, maybe I should let you rest your voice for a moment, but I know you started watching a little something. I'm trying to think of what we've been watching. Really, the things we're going to talk about tonight kind of dominated most of our time. Harley Quinn. Oh, my God. Sorry. New
He's
season
like,
of
what did
Harley.
you watch? We watched Harley Quinn. Sorry.
I'm sleep deprived this week, everyone. I know I say that a lot. It's true a lot, and it's true tonight, and you will see.
it's to your benefit or your detriment.
Yeah, that's right. You know what? No, you're right. Jesse, you go first. What'd you watch? Anything else?
Oh, I mean, basically She-Hulk, I started it, but I didn't get through the first episode. But I feel like it is what we all kind of thought it was going to be, in terms of, like, if you watch the trailer, you kind of understand the vibe of the show. Mm-hmm. It's that vibe, at least what I've seen of the first episode.
And to be clear, you didn't finish it, not necessarily because you just turned it off, but because we're doing Grawlix right now.
Yeah. I was literally watching it before Grawlix, just right up until I got the link. And so I basically got, and they're only like a half hour to 40-minute episodes, at least the first one is. So I got about 20 minutes deep into it. So
my impression was it's kind of like a comedy kind of sitcom vibe or something. Is that like fair?
It's Green Ally McBeal.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah?
I mean, this first one is kind of, at least the part that I saw was, it starts at at the law office, and then they just kind of jump right into it, and they're like, or you could Hulk out. Da, 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 like it just keeps going. They don't do the little music. That's just for effect. But she does turn to the camera and literally address the viewers and say, okay, we better cover the Hulk thing because otherwise you're not going to enjoy this. Like that's all you're going to think about and you won't have any fun with this fun lawyer show. Like it's a little bit meta in that moment. And then it does the whole flashback to give you the quick origin of how she became She-Hulk, and then basically Bruce trying to mentor her on how to be a Hulk, but she's just automatically better at it.
How does a lawyer become a Hulk? I mean, I get a scientist, but a lawyer? That's just strange.
Well, in the comics, it was an accident where they needed blood. Like she lost a lot of blood, and so it was a blood transfusion from him because he's family. It's his cousin. That's her cousin, and so that's how the original story went. In this, it was like a car accident, and their blood just happened to mingle, and it infected her in that way. And they explain it in that apparently the Banner family can metabolize gamma radiation differently into something else, which is what creates the Hulk. So it was a quick and dirty way for them to explain it, but it works. I mean, for what we're dealing with here, we don't need a whole lot. Like it's science fiction, comic books.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense doing it that way since they kind of established, even though I don't know, like, is it part of MCU canon or not? But the Hulk movie where it was a big deal where, his blood killed a Stan Lee cameo, right? Like,
oh yeah.
Before it was what's his name, Ruffalo. I had an easier time remembering Mark Ruffalo's name than
Eric Bana.
No. Oh wait, was that the one? No,
Edward
the
Norton.
one after that, the
Edward
middle one.
Norton.
Edward Norton, that's it. I was gonna say Edward Furlong. That'd have been a different movie.
Oh man, can you imagine him as a Hulk? Ooh, weird. I mean, not that he couldn't do it, just it would be, wow, that'd be a flavor.
It's a very be a flavor indeed. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to check it out. I don't know. We still haven't watched. Of course, there's been a lot to watch lately.
Yeah,
but we still haven't watched Miss Marvel. You asked about Paper Girls, and we haven't even cracked into Paper Girls yet. So
I'm excited for you guys to get to that because that's pretty fun.
Cool.
It's like true to the comics in a sense, and yet a true adaptation in that they move things around. I feel like they basically gave it the Invincible treatment where it's all there, but it's been kind of shuffled.
I think we need to like make a list and just like paste it up next to the remote or something so that every time we sit down and we're like, what should we watch? I don't know. What do we have to watch? Then we'll be like, oh yeah, that's what we need to do.
So we've been watching Harley Quinn. I know I mentioned it. I'm really worried it's one of the shows, because DC shows it's a mess right now. You don't know what they're going to do. They axed a Batgirl movie that cost them $90 million. So like anything's on the block, right? Like I'm worried about Doom Patrol. I haven't been watching Titans, so I don't really care at this point, but I'm worried about Doom Patrol and Harley Quinn. But I mentioned Harley Quinn because we just watched the most recent episode yesterday, and it was a delight.
That's because it featured Swamp Thing, and Randy was like, "Oh, Swamp Thing."
No, that was the episode before.
Oh, was it? I'm sorry.
And I appreciate their takes on characters, DC characters, are always wild. Like for example, Jim Gordon. If you've never watched the show, Jim Gordon's a little like seedy and totally inept. Like they just go crazy with the characters. I hate their Swamp Thing, but it's still Swamp Thing, so it was entertaining. But he's such a he literally has like a man bun type.
He does
thing going on. He's a hipster type bro apparently. But the episode we just watched was basic, like it was kind of we're going to do this other thing this episode. And this other thing was TV sitcom of Joker with his family. Because at this point in Harley Quinn, Joker is basically not a villain anymore. He's just trying to be a good stepdad. And it worked 100% for me.
Huh.
His new, forget Batman. His new like nemesis is, what was her name?
Like Becky or something like that.
Yep. You know, like some lady on the school board or something like that. That's
Yeah. She
his
knows.
new
I don't.
nemesis.
She knows people on the school board. I think she's part of like the PTA or something.
Right.
And
Oh, yeah.
always puts down his lemon bars or something like that. You know.
But it's first off I realized that it was Alan Tudyk who's doing the voice for Joker, and he does a really good Mark Hamill Joker. Honestly,
yeah, I bet. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And it made for my favorite joke too, which was just because he's Gordon, right? And Gordon was going after somebody, and he's like, oh, "Those crimes are especially heinous," and and I was like, "Oh, he's doing the SVU. I love it. I love it."
Okay, you got to specify because Gordon is voiced by what's his name?
Sorry, I got it all confused. Chris Maloney from Law and Order SVU.
Right. But anyway, if you haven't checked out Harley Quinn, man, it's good, and I'm enjoying this season quite a bit. And just trying to be a good stepdad Joker is one of maybe top 3 favorite Jokers now. It's so
All
good.
right.
It's ridiculous, but there you go.
Yep.
Speaking of DC comic book shows, I guess.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, like, it's so bizarre that Warner Brothers is such a hot mess because they're also putting out, like, the stuff that they will release has been good.
It's wild, right? Like, I'm glad. It seems like Peacemaker season 2 is still good, according to James Gunn. James Gunn also, they made him a character in Harley Quinn once in a while.
They did.
That is kind of amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, I was a little unsure how they were going to handle that with Sandman, especially since, I mean, it's over at Netflix, right? So I wonder how that works. I'm surprised Warner Brothers didn't try to. I mean, I guess it's. My impression of it is that it was a Netflix show, right?
Right.
It's not necessarily like Warner Brothers and whatever I don't know how that works.
Well, is it actually DC or is it
It is. I noticed because
Okay.
I was curious about that. I was like, how does this work? Do they have to like omit certain characters? Like, was there like kind of a creator own thing? And the credits said based on characters from DC Comics, blah blah blah. So
okay?
yeah, it's a DC thing, and it's Warner Brothers. It's got like
Yeah.
the newer Warner Brothers.
It's got the shield and
Interesting.
everything. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you guys think of the Sandman? A show that I feel like at least us, we're always a little like nervous about happening.
Well, I love Sandman, so even if it was bad, I would probably like it. But I don't think it's bad. I think it's good. It could be better. I don't really like the look of Sandman. He's okay. His face isn't long enough, and so just a few things. But that's just because I like the comic book as much as I do.
Right.
I could be wrong, but I feel like between the three of us, I've actually read the least Sandman, perhaps. I only recall reading what we've read for Grawlix.
Oh, okay.
And that's like the first...
I haven't read much more than that. Like, I've read a
Okay.
little bit further, but not too much. And I've read a few of the Lucifer books, so.
Based on what I recall of that, and I'm sure Melanie will have some disagreement on aspects of it, this seems extremely comics accurate. Like, I was really surprised. There's some things that I did recognize as being different, but outside of casting choices and stuff, of course. But the show makes a point of that, I think. I don't think, it's obvious. But for the most part, like there's all the main things where I was like, oh, I hope they do this. I hope they do this, whatever. Like they kind of nailed it. It seems like things play out a little bit differently when he's imprisoned. With the son of the one guy, when he's older, that seems like it plays out differently. But man,
I think for the most part, the main things that are different are in the comic, it's interspersed with little bits of stuff that come into play later. Like the stuff with Unity was in there quite a bit more. Like you'd see her occasionally throughout her life as he was in prison, stuff like that. Her and some of the other sleepers that come into play later. That's one of the big things that was different. And then they did change like the ethnicity of a few of the characters, but that's not really a big deal. But it was really close.
They connected some dots that I don't think were connected in the book, like the character that has his sleep gem, like his power to control dreams. I don't think that he was related to the captor in any way, shape, or form. Like they connected a familial thread that was not originally there.
Oh, you're right.
Right,
okay.
right, yeah.
Yeah, now that we're picking it apart, there are a lot of differences. But they don't seem like differences that are like, because when things are adapted, sometimes you're like, why? Or why omit this? Or why change that? But I feel like most of the things here make sense. I mean, they did
or they don't ruin it, at least,
Right.
Like the diner is not particularly changed by it. I mean, I don't know. In the book, it's so dark, and they're there for so long, so they kind of condense it in this retelling. But I didn't hate it. It's still disturbing. It's still, I think, at the heart of what was the original story.
Right.
Right.
There's some things I don't think they can. Since it's on TV or whatever, I don't think they can go as dark as the comic book does, and that's not because that's not the only time that it went a little light, but it's still kind of dark and gets the point across.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we don't have to go in on like all the changes, but the diner stuff I liked. I remember liking it more in the book, but yeah, no, you're right. I think the diner stuff went much kind of darker. This one kind of seemed, the show kind of replaced that with like, it's still kind of dark and then just kind of goes gory, but like, I guess self-harm gory, which seems more brutal in a way.
For the visuals. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess there are certain things that I wish that kind of got downplayed. We didn't even talk about Constantine.
Yeah.
But like that situation with Constantine's ex-girlfriend or whatever, I feel like basically the sleep sand junkie, like I feel like that hit harder in the comic.
Yeah.
It kind of blew past that fairly quickly. But then again, they kind of condensed a lot of stuff, or, had to get through a lot of material.
That was one of the things that I kind of noticed. It seemed like it was rushed, like they rushed through a lot of stuff that took a lot longer to get through than this series. I mean, the TV series obviously is going to, but it's okay. It's still there for the most part.
Yeah, it makes sense. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, really, what I'd read was only up to the episode. Man, I kind of loved it when they get to the almost one-off type stories, like this last episode they just released, which was a very pleasant surprise. And the episode where we meet Death, that's the last bit of the comics I read. Everything after that was new to me.
Okay.
And I feel like that I could be wrong, but I think that story is combined with, then it leads into the story with the guy that can never die, and he goes to like revisit him every 100 years. I loved it. That episode was amazing.
Yeah. Just,
we love it.
Yeah. I really don't have anything to add to that because it was. I already like that issue where he meets Death and we discover that that's who she is. And I thought the portrayal of Death was great. I know that that's probably a thing that's making people mad on the internet. I didn't chase it down. I'm just sure it is.
Yeah.
I've made a point not to chase it down. Because Twitter, and it's not wrong, seems to think I like seeing what Neil Gaiman has to say. They're right, he does, but it annoys me when Twitter gives me notifications for things that have nothing to do with me. But he has had he's had to have shoot down. He's on Twitter still, right? So he knows what he's getting into. So there's been some comments and stuff, but maybe they're just not paying attention, or they just don't care.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't care about Sandman. The people that generally get super upset about it. I feel like not everybody. I feel like those people got bent out of shape. Got bent out of shape during the initial casting announcement, especially since the official sheet they sent out had pronouns by everyone's names, and people
oh yeah.
But you know what? That was a long time ago, and I think that, they're probably like, whatever.
Well, and besides, I think people that are big fans of Gaiman probably aren't part of the usual rabble that's like about because if they were, they probably wouldn't read his stuff. That's just my opinion.
It'd be so much more amazing. The world would be a better place if that's how they express their displeasure. You wouldn't be the usual bicker. It'd just be that's all you'd hear. That'd be so nice.
It's funny because all those people probably got a Tasmanian devil tattoo on their arm in the 90s, just like everybody else did.
Yeah, you're right. Oh man, I totally lost track of what I was about to say.
Which, fun fact, is also a Warner Brothers owned property. So there you go. Mm-hmm. There's your connection.
That's like original Warner Brothers, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
What happened to Man, there was a TV show.
There was a show, yep.
And I used to watch it, and I remember thinking, it's kind of lame that there's all these other Tasmanian devil because it's his family, but he still never talks. And that was the thing. The 90s, they started doing new versions of shows, making characters talk that should never talk. And they didn't make Taz talk, so I appreciated that. If I'm remembering
like his
correctly.
mom was like a 1950s mom.
Yeah.
But he's just like...
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was there something wrong with him?
They should have given Baby Daffy Duck his own show because Baby Daffy Duck is the cutest thing that ever was.
Yeah. I don't think he ever got old either. It's like it became the thing where you saw Baby Daffy Duck more than you saw the normal kid version of the same one, was it Plucky? It was Plucky and Baby Plucky, and you started to see Baby Plucky more than the real Plucky.
Because he was great. He was so adorable. I loved him.
And the other one was just a green version of Daffy.
Right.
Back on track real quick. I mean, what? Back on track? That's not what we do. While we were watching it, I was like, man, this is so good. And she's like, yeah, it's got good source material. And I think part of what impresses me so much with the show is, yes, of course, it has great source material. And I'm glad that it seems to be doing very well. But there have been not so great live action adaptations of Neil Gaiman stuff before. So I think the show is also well made. Mm-hmm. So I'm very pleased.
Are you talking about Doctor Who or are you talking about
No.
Okay.
I was just talking in general.
Okay.
Well, I used we were talking about this earlier. And I used that as an example. I was like, look at is it just the 2 episodes he's ever written? Doctor Who?
Yeah, there was basically the Doctor's Wife is the first one, I think. And then
Nightmare.
The second one was Nightmare in Silver, yeah.
And that's a perfect example. Like, the first one's great. It's amazing. And it's perfectly Neil Gaiman. The second one's a mess, but there was interference. And he had to rewrite it a bunch. And from what I understand, he had a very sour taste in his mouth about ever writing for Doctor Who again after that, which is unfortunate. But that's a
Then
good example.
But then he got his own Netflix show and just stole all of the actors that ever worked on
Yes.
Doctor Who.
Yes.
for a two-story episode.
Yeah, like a one-off that like
Yeah.
had that been announced previously, I didn't know it was even coming.
No, I didn't know it was coming, and they kind of build it as if it were a surprise to everyone. It's a little bit
Great.
like how'd they keep that under wraps? That's amazing.
I found myself, I enjoyed the Corinthian. Like at first I was like, okay, he's just like suave serial killer guy. But man, he's just super suave. And I found him enjoyable, especially once he got to the convention and seemed like he was actually enjoying it himself.
Yeah.
And then jumping to this last episode, and that's super fresh because we just watched it today, obviously. The cat story was good, but I loved that last story
Oh yeah.
a lot.
And it was the master. You had Derek Jacobi, and he made that muse say that it was like, "I am your master." He said it. He
You're
said
right.
The thing.
I didn't even make that connection.
Like Rory said the thing, or somebody. No, she said the thing that he said. But it was like, oh my God, he said the thing, but we didn't get it on screen. That would have been too much. But awesome.
I feel like that's not an accident, right? Or maybe it's just like that's kind of how it is with English actors. It seems, it's a smaller pool, right? So
Right.
From the outside, it seems so like incestuous. That's a bad term. That's a bad term to use, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I suppose it's a smaller pool. But yeah, Tennant did a voice in the cat Tale of a Thousand Cats or whatever.
Right.
Rory was good. I enjoyed Rory.
Yeah, he
in
was
this.
real good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kept telling Melanie Rory's a jerk.
He played it well in this, man. Like,
Yeah, he did.
We rarely get to see the range that he has.
Yes.
Was it Arthur Darvill? Is that
Yeah.
his real name? He's got some range, but very rarely does he get a mainstream way to showcase it. And this was nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually commented on that. I was like, yeah, look at he's very good at expressing himself in all of the ways.
Frankly, if you're not watching Sandman,
Yeah, you're doing it wrong.
you're doing it wrong. Yeah, it was great. I liked it a lot.
I don't like when Rory plays in other things with people named Rory because it gets confusing.
As the Legends of Tomorrow or whatever, because there was
Right.
a Rory
Oh,
in
yeah.
there.
Yeah, but he will always be Rory to me. I don't think, even though he's good and I'll like him in other things, he's still always going to be Rory 'cause that's what happens with life.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
that one guy
Jacobi is the master. Yeah.
Dream. Hello over to Twitch. What's going on?
Hello. He said
Howdy.
squeaky.
Well, we're gonna squeak at you. Dream is such an interesting character because, like, for a big chunk, you're like, I don't know. I think when in the comic and in this TV series, introducing death is super important to establishing, like, because Dream does not. I know he's one of the Endless, but he does not come across human at all. But then Death shows up, and she's like bubbly and just like, hey, blah blah blah, and like very human.
Right.
And I feel like that's super interesting, but kind of also important in establishing kind of how these beings can operate.
But honestly, I think Death is probably the most like centered, healthy of all of the Endless. So
He's very reserved. And as it goes, like you kind of, I feel like other characters allude to it a lot that he is changed after being captured. And it's interesting that we aren't even introduced to him till he's captured, but you kind of get a sense of that, I guess, a little bit. And I think the stories like the one with Death, and they combined it into the same episode with the man that doesn't ever die, definitely helped to sell in a very efficient way in terms of storytelling, sell his character arc. And it is a little bit of like tell, but they're still showing you too. Like it's whatever. That comes from Neil Gaiman writing, right? Like just being super clever with the narrative and being able to establish this stuff and without leaving this super interesting framework of the narrative he's telling.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I know what happens again with Lucian says over and over that, or not over and over, but several times that he's changed or things are different and whatever. And that drags it along, but that again, that's more just them telling it than showing it to you. But one thing I don't like, can I just real quick? Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm watching Zoolander sometimes. Because why is he always freaking puckering? Really, does he have to? It annoys me so much. And I mean, know he
likes crows. He's goth now.
Yeah, I know.
It's a raven.
It's a Patton Oswalt. That's what it is.
Oh,
yeah. If we're gonna talk about things we don't like, I knew it. I knew it.
The series is awful.
Yeah, no.
Why does it have to? Why does it have to be Patton? I love the show. Why does it have to be Patton Oswalt? There are other voice actors. Come on.
Yeah. But they wanted him to sound like, the average white guy. And who always plays the average white guy?
Who's more average white guy than Patton Oswalt?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
He did fine. But his voice is so recognizable to me.
Yeah.
Is he No, he's not the only American, but, like, he's got a pretty American voice, doesn't he?
He's the voice actor who almost always is just his own voice.
Yeah.
Most other voice actors at least vary a little bit. But he's always him.
Right.
He's good at... No, yeah, you're right. He's good at voice acting, but he's not like an impressionist type. Mm-hmm. He's not a man of 1,000 voices. He's a man of one voice.
Like we were saying earlier, Alan Tudyk, we thought he was Mark Hamill playing Joker.
Oh, right. Sure, yeah.
That's voice acting. Being your own voice always is. I mean, it's not. He's fine. It's good. He does good because he is like the average white guy, and you need that in a lot of movies apparently. But could be better.
What did you guys think about? Because I popped pretty hard for this. What did you think about the inclusion of Cain and Abel?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah. Brady was very excited about it. He was.
Yeah.
I was super excited. I was like, this is one step closer to... Well, I knew we weren't going to get no Swamp Thing.
Right.
I was like, this is a one step closer to Etrigan. We didn't get Etrigan. We got a rhyming demon, and it wasn't Etrigan, so I'm upset about that.
That was another thing I wasn't super happy about. Not that I think she's ugly, but... the chick that they had play Lucifer was not what I would have imagined in my head. That's all.
Right.
It was very interesting.
Gwendolyn Christie.
Uh-huh.
It felt like they were kind of taking a page out of the the John Constantine movie that John Wick was in.
Mm-hmm. Right.
With Tilda Swinton. It was like they just decided to go androgynous with Lucifer, which is fine. Mm-hmm. Go for it. But also, it was hard not to compare performances. And I thought she did fine. But also, like, knowing where they could go with it, based on Lucifer spin-off books, it was like, okay, well, we'll see how we get there.
Mm.
What'd you guys think about John Constantine? Speaking of,
wait, John?
Clara.
I mean Joanne. That's an interesting choice, I think. And it being Clara is also interesting,
Yeah.
You're right, man. Still all the Doctor Who actors. I thought she did well. Mm-hmm. Essentially, it did well at like, okay, I don't know. It's that thing of changing the gender of a character. Seems like a bigger change. But man, she still sold it. I was like, nah, I mean...
Yeah, it just makes Constantine suck even more because it's like you're so crappy that your like misfortune travels through your family onto everyone that they know too. You know?
Right. That is the thing, man. I had forgotten that the lady that got hooked on the dream sand, that was Constantine's fault, or Constantine.
Not
Constantine,
necessarily his fault. It's just
His
happened.
negligence, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
just a thing he didn't even
I
keep
don't think
track of.
I don't think he has to do anything. Just he walks by somebody and they die and get sucked into hell. That's just how he is.
you can't get close to him at all.
No,
ever.
I know.
And
I know. Not
or her, him or her, either of them. It doesn't matter. But that's kind of the thing. Like, I was like, I was digging it because that's the same. It's totally the same character. It totally worked. I thought it was fine.
She brought some of that Peter Capaldi swagger that maybe she picked up a few tricks from him.
Right.
Like, that was it was definitely more Capaldi than Matt Smith, the way that she came with the swagger.
And since it is the Constantine thing is going to be hard to get used to. So I seen that was another thing that Twitter alerted me that Neil Gaiman was having an argument with people about. Somebody was just like, I don't know, like they can't even get the name right. It's Constantine. And he's like, as far as I know, we always assumed it was Constantine. And that was confirmed by so-and-so writer who was one of the earlier ones to write him.
Was that Alan Moore created the character along with Swamp Thing, didn't he?
I think so, yeah.
That's his first appearance as an Alan Moore Swamp Thing, I believe.
So according to Neil Gaiman, it's Constantine. So I was trying to get used to that. Then we were watching Harley Quinn. And he's in that. And it's Constantine. So I'm like, DC doesn't know.
Right. They don't care either.
No, they don't.
I trust Gaiman though because I didn't know how you pronounce his name, and one of the articles I read about him, it had him saying his own name. So there you go.
Wasn't it based on some like it wasn't Constantine or Constantine European? So like I feel like they have a little better grasp on how it might be pronounced.
That's exactly it. I would assume like Constantine is kind of the Americanized version.
We just like to assume that we are saying things right, and we are usually wrong.
The character is from the UK. It was invented and especially in the early days written primarily by people from the UK. And Constantine sounds very much like a British style pronunciation. So that's probably what it should be. Then I was trying to think of not that this is anything to go by that movie with John Wick in it. And I was like, how did they say it in that movie?
Oh, they said it as Constantine for sure in that movie.
Okay.
But that, I mean, come on. It's like all the Americans playing these British characters. So, with the exception of Tilda Swinton, I don't know what she is because she's so amorphous.
Exactly. Well, yeah, she's crazy.
Yeah.
She'll play anything and anyone at any time.
I'm pretty sure it's in her contract. She has to play multiple characters of every race and gender. She don't get. It's got to be different. I want this whole other plot line about an old man. I'm the old man. The Suspiria remake is such a weird movie.
Mm-hmm.
What about Westworld?
There's your segue, folks. That's what you get on a Friday. A squeaky Friday.
Man, real quick, I want more Sandman. Them being able to just like drop a special episode out of nowhere, which I feel like they don't do very often. I feel like Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, before it took a nosedive, they do that. They drop like a holiday special out of nowhere. It seems like they'll do that for occasional certain shows. I'm glad they did that here. Yeah, I just want more. I want more of that world. I'm gonna have to start reading the comics again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to collect the rest of when it restarted again.
Right.
I'm not going to get all of the old ones. It's never going to happen. But the new ones, that'd be nice.
We got a bunch of what was it called? The Sandman. I can't remember. Several years ago, not that long ago, but a few years ago now, he was doing. It was a new miniseries, and I was buying them, but then there was a big delay between a couple, like after
months.
issue 3 or something. Huge delay, and I don't remember what happened with it.
We just stopped waiting for the new issues because we were like, okay, well, it's been like 4 months. I'm done.
I'm done with all comics. Thanks,
No.
Neil Gaiman.
Although that was kind of when I fell off, but
Well, that's it though. That's just happened to be when we fell off.
right.
Of
And
all
then I'm not going to
comics.
say, if I'm going to say anything to Neil Gaiman, I'd be like, thanks for getting me into comics, because I probably wouldn't have if it weren't for Sandman.
Right. Yeah, he's one of those people that can just like translate to so many different medias, and it's just kind of amazing. Not everybody can do that. Stephen King, but I mean, he tries, but Neil Gaiman has succeeded on so many different levels. Audiobooks, comics, prose, all of it. TV, movies.
Memes. He's like, so his, well, I mean, it's not him making the memes, but memes of things that he said.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he writes books about himself. Like the Neil Gaiman Reader, like a book he put out, and this is one of those rare instances where I ain't even mad about it. Like he could just write books about other books. Like Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology is like, okay, we're just going to talk about myths that people told for years, but cool, let's go.
Write me some
Good.
Doctor Who. I
Yeah.
want more Neil Gaiman Doctor Who.
Hopefully, though, it's one of the things they'll bring back, since Russell T Davies is bringing everything back.
Yeah.
And they're
yeah.
not going to be with the BBC anymore, right?
I'm not sure exactly what the deal was. I don't
I think
think.
it broadcasts, but it.
Yeah, I don't think they were
yeah.
ever cut out of the equation, but I feel like the production was going to be handled by an outside company. And I thought it was like I thought it was something like Fox or something with. I thought it was a company with money.
I thought it was
maybe
Bad
that-
Wolf. Bad Wolf was the company or the production name or whatever, but I thought it was attached to Sony.
Sony. Okay, there we go.
Well, I was just thinking part of the problem that he was having with it was all this studio interference, right? Or because they kept chopping up his stories.
Well, yeah, that the Nightmare in Silver, I know, is the one he had a bad experience with writing. But that is like, for example, the children that Clara was babysitting had to go along because when he initially wrote the script, Clara was technically a different character. It was the lady from what was it? That Christmas special? When on the first
that
episode she popped
version.
in. That version of her from the like Victorian period or wherever, where she was like a nanny or something.
Right.
And so the children were supposed to be those kids. And then by the time like they went to like they had his script was written and they're like, yeah, so she's a different character and there's those kids aren't around. So they had to like really I think he had to scramble to rewrite it a bunch of times to kind of make things work.
Right. Well, but maybe
What
if they're
weird-
not there, it'll make him more inclined to actually, write something for them.
So the British or not British, but the Victorian version of Clara was more inclined to inspire a space emperor than this version of Clara. Like, it's such a weird story.
I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get that because man, I really want I want another like Jamie situation. I want a human. If you're gonna have humans traveling with you all the time, I want one from the past who's not like used to technology at all to travel.
It was
with the
always
Doctor.
a fun dynamic, too.
Yeah.
Why don't they ever bring companions from different time periods anymore?
I think
There's
it's
nobody
because
from the future or the past.
The only ones they do, at least with the 13th Doctor, were legitimately like full-blown celebrity characters too. Like,
Yeah.
like this is such and such, and she's a super important
right
scientist. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's because I think it's that I don't know if it's the writing, I don't know if it's the showrunners or the writers, or I'm assuming maybe BBC's like, no, the audience needs to be able to identify with the companions. And if they're not up some present day interpretation of the audience, they're going to be lost or they're not going to be interested.
How do they know I don't feel like a 14th century peasant inside? They don't know that stuff.
They should. They should know this. Because
I think they've just been drinking too much time travel Kool-Aid. You know, that idea that if you go, if you're from the past and you went to the future and you experienced all these things and knew all this information about the future, how would that impact the past? And so I think the way that they fixed that with Jamie was to erase his mind at the end of War Games.
Right.
But like, so I mean, like it does paint them into a corner, but also like there's always a way out. You just
there's all
there could be like, Jamie's that crazy guy. Don't listen to him. There you go.
Yeah,
Bam.
yeah. He's talking about flying cars and stuff. He said he went into a blue box and now he can see aliens.
Yeah, you just need to go back far enough that it's not like they can't necessarily replicate the technology they've seen or invest in like stocks they shouldn't know about, stuff like that. You're like,
right.
JB's not. They're not gonna put him back in the Highlands, and he's not gonna be like making cars and stuff. So
Yeah, right. I invented the combustion engine. Oh my giddy aunt.
What did he call the? What did he call the airplanes? The metal beasties or something? Man, he had some name for them that cracked me up. Mm-hmm. We're back on Doctor Who.
Yeah. Yep.
So Westworld.
Yeah, Westworld.
Did you finish the season?
I did.
What'd you guys think?
I
was
was
good.
Westworld.
Okay. Yeah, it's. I was digging the season quite a bit. Man, that last they ramped up considerably the last two episodes.
Do you think we're gonna get a season 5? Like they left it in a weird spot, but they always do this, don't they? Where it's like, well, really, this could be it, and that'd be fine. But also, they gave us a little nugget of it could keep going. It looks like it is kind of still going in a weird way.
As far as I know, they're planning on a 5th season.
That's what I'd heard.
I think it's
5 is the last season, though, right? Is that what you had read?
Yeah.
It makes me. Yeah. It makes me wonder, though, if perhaps it isn't supposed to be, it's like, a cycle. Like, this has happened before, and this is just another last chance or something like that,
Well, that's very Westworld, too, in a way. Man, we're going spoilers, full spoilers.
Oh, we have to.
Westworld.
There's no way to talk about this without.
I mean, first off, they killed everybody. Like almost everybody.
Yeah.
All the humans other than the two new the outliers or whatever. What's his name's daughter and her girlfriend,
That's
those are the only humans we know that are alive. And
that's why they'll die out, because of the because all the men are dead. Maybe. I don't know.
Right.
We don't.
Right.
We don't. Actually
I did have that thought. Like, you think Caleb's like, oh, that's not good for humans.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's over.
Good for them, but that's not good for humans.
And also, I'm dying, so whatever.
Right. Yeah, man. Like, they literally killed almost every character of the show. Yeah. Definitively, like, they're dead.
Yeah.
Except it's Westworld, so nobody's definitively dead.
Yeah, right. What do you think of the Teddy thing? Because, that was a major question I think that Melanie even had. We've alluded to this question multiple times. Like, how do you bring this character back? His Pearl was destroyed.
Right.
And then you find out how, and it's just like, what?
Yeah.
And
it's because we live on in each other's memories, right?
I will say I appreciate that it wasn't like a weird oversight and they're just like, oh, whatever. No, he's back. The show's better than that, But it's a tough premise to deal with. Like, if you're, I don't know. They did say the real Teddy's out there in the Sublime somewhere. It's like, no, he's not.
No, he's
Right.
not.
He
didn't
shot
make it
himself
to
with the brain
Sublime.
ball.
Right.
Yeah.
He's gone. But
But they brought that one chick back too. I can't remember her name. The one
Right.
that dies like every time.
Caroline,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Or Clementine.
Clementine. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
yeah, maybe their show's not better than that. Maybe they're just like, oh, it's fine. I will say it's a super bold choice because, like, it's a fine place to leave the series. Like, and it'll loop back around. It'll just happen again. Maybe it was a simulation all along, which I feel like would make a lot of people unhappy. But it's a super bold choice to end like this, with the plans of coming back for another season, because just the idea of potentially robbing, like, for a lot of viewers, any like consequences of like the wait, because it's like, well, no one's real, they're all simulated.
Right.
But that's also super Westworld to put like create that situation where it's like, that's the point of the show.
Yeah.
Like, are they real? Are they like should whatever the robots? They're like, what if everyone's simulated? Now is it different? You know?
Right, and is the weight somehow lessened, or is the weight that much more because now that's all there's left? The simulation is that's it now,
Yeah.
or is it?
And if you're into physics, people argue that we're all a simulation anyway. So there you go.
I was half expecting the whole season to be a simulation at some point. And the way, and it doesn't seem like it was, but also, like, if they just left it here, it could be.
Right.
Yeah.
The entire series could have been a simulation. But I think, the bigger point is, like, does it matter? Once they
Nope.
killed, sorry, go ahead.
Maeve. Yeah, I was gonna say Maeve and I always forget his name, but the one guy that I like.
William?
No, not William. What's his name? He was sitting in the hotel room for like 20 years with the thing
Wait.
on his head.
Bernard.
Bernard, that's it. Maeve and Bernard are the best characters in the whole freaking show, in my opinion, and they weren't in this season enough, either one of them. And when they killed him off again, and I was almost like, what's the point now? We're just gonna be with Dolores, and she's one of my least favorite characters. But whatever.
I specifically like OG style Dolores, Evan Rachel Wood Dolores. Yeah, I agree with you. Actually, I'm not super fond of her character. I liked I can't remember her name. Valkyrie Dolores.
Emma Thompson. Is that right?
Not Emma Thompson.
No.
But
Valkyrie.
Yeah.
yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Her name.
It's something like that.
And William Dolores, because his robot was also based on her code.
Yeah. So Valkyrie Dolores, in real life, that actress, whose name we can't remember. So is she dating, or did she date Taika Waititi? Because maybe that's why this show is so good.
I don't
Because everything that he touches turns to gold.
So, like, even like if you worked with him and then you go to other shows, it automatically elevates that other show, even though he has nothing to do with it.
Yep.
Could you imagine a Taika Waititi version of Westworld? I mean, I think it'd be
Oh
good,
my
but it would not
goodness.
be the Westworld we have.
Whoa,
Oh
it'd be
no,
so
not
weird.
at all.
It'd be very New Zealand like style humor too. Like
Yeah.
he just couldn't help himself.
Random thought. I think the new season of What We Do in the Shadows has started, and we haven't watched any of it yet. But
Oh yeah, because we can't sign into Hulu yet. Hey, people in the universe that have Hulu accounts.
Tessa Thompson.
Tessa.
Thompson.
that's super close, actually, to Emma Thompson. Wasn't Emma Thompson like the mom?
Like a British.
Maybe I'm thinking
something.
someone. Who was the mom in Back to the Future?
That's Leah Thompson, I
Leah
believe.
Thompson.
Well,
Yeah.
listen,
Man, all these Thompsons. Yeah. Howard the Duck. Yeah.
yeah. Back to the Future. Howard the Duck should have been my go-to example.
What did Emma Thompson do recently? I'm trying to remember what she was even in, but she's a pretty famous actress too.
Yeah, she is. I know who she is. I see her in my head. I can't think of what she's in.
She was in Sense and Sensibility in the 90s. That's
what I
probably
was
what I
thinking,
watched
but-
her in. Yeah.
I'm not leaving, but I'll be right.
Okay. Yeah. Sense and Sensibility. That's a great show if you haven't seen it. Or a book if you haven't read it, I suppose would be more appropriate.
There's a lot of good like adaptations of Jane Eyre, or at least I assume they are good adaptations because I never really read a lot of Jane Eyre, but I've watched a lot of Jane Eyre, I guess.
I don't think I've
Sense and
watched any.
Sensibility is, I think it's the only one that I've read. But there you go. I don't like Little Women, or I didn't like the movie Little Women, so I didn't want to read the book because I was like, this is stupid. I don't like any of these people. I get very involved with my characters, so, you know.
And then there was Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I didn't like Pride and Prejudice and Zombies as much as I wanted to.
Really. I haven't read it or seen. They made a movie, right?
Yeah.
I haven't. Neither one.
I feel like they took way too long to get to the movie. I feel like the
Yeah.
book came out at like the perfect time.
Right.
To catch that huge, rather, I mean, admittedly very long running wave, but the movie came out way too late.
Right. Even Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter was closer to the time when it was still hot. And it was
Right.
still too late. It was still too late, I feel like.
I think we saw that one. Did we see that one?
We did. We seen that in the theater actually. It was
Yeah,
surprisingly way more serious than I expected.
Agreed.
I expected it to be more comedy, and it wasn't like really any kind of comedy. It was like, here's the premise, and we're gonna play it completely straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, we're gonna deal with slavery. So that's a choice.
Yeah, for real.
I like that director. I don't know if he's done other stuff, but he did the like night shift. Was it day shift and night shift? Day watch and night watch movies, which were interesting. They called it that kind of like, they called those urban fantasy movies or something, but they were like ridiculous, over the top, like kind of action, but set in like contemporary modern day city settings and stuff. Pretty cool movies, but anyway, there was another thought I had.
Westworld is a weird one to discuss because there's so much like nuance and yet also like it's kind of nebulous, you know, like the plot is like there's a couple of it hitches itself to big ideas more than it does plots.
Yeah.
Like the plot itself is pretty like it's pretty simple, you know, like this now the world is run by the robots, so they have won in a sense, and they have essentially, and I think we've kind of talked about this already on previous episodes, but just to bring it back for this episode, not only have they won, but they've essentially created the loops now, and they are forcing the loops on the humans.
Oh yeah, totally. Like they just became the humans.
Yeah, and I've never loved flies, but now they've creeped me the F out.
They're
Yeah.
way worse now. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't just want a single fly in my house anymore.
I will say, I think that's one element this season that really they could have handled better, is like the horror of what they were just doing to the regular people.
Yeah.
Like they didn't focus on that very much. Just a little bit. I think of hey. I'm just gonna put this up on the.
Oh my.
That was a highly unexpected comment. Thanks.
Yeah, I don't
Hot
know.
today, brother.
You know
Take
what?
off that shirt.
I don't think we can top that. I'm amazed. What else?
Anyway, so What were we talking about?
Westworld and flies.
Oh,
Oh, I think of there's the one scene where she's got like a bunch of people out, a bunch of humans, but like dancing and stuff. And the
Right.
piano, the keyboard player, whose fingers are just like
Oh yeah.
worn down. I'm a little surprised they didn't, because I feel like they did focus well on that aspect when it came to like the earlier season. But I guess it takes a lot more work to humanize the robots than it is to humanize the humans.
right.
But I don't know. That's one aspect I'm surprised they kind of didn't go as much into.
I find it all a little difficult to believe because unless it's going to be like the Matrix, where they're going to use people as a source of energy, I don't really see what reason a machine would have to keep us around. We don't provide any value, in my
well,
opinion, and that they're going to
entertainment.
think more cold and calculated than we are.
Well, I agree, but I think that's also a big point of it is that they got
That was
in
the
control.
conceit. Like
They got in control and just did the exact same thing we did
Yeah.
because we made them. They're based on us,
Right.
So they essentially did the same thing.
Yeah, the Hale character wanted to believe
Hale,
that
that's
the machines were like this like a better version of they would do so much better, but then she was very clearly, or it was very clearly violent and wanted the same.
The whole time
vengeance.
she's going on. I know we talked about this previously, but the whole time she's going on about like what's going on with my
Right.
whatever they're killing themselves. Humans are. It's like you're clearly the most unhinged of them. What are you talking
Right.
about?
Right.
It's called mental health issues. And,
It's called and you're projecting.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're based on your code. Like, are you not seeing the problem here?
Interesting twist to like. She's not the protagonist, but in the end, you're just like, okay, yeah, go do this thing. Like she's the big bad the whole season,
Yeah.
up until the very end,
Yeah.
and then she's essential to
How did you like the William character? Like, I mean, I felt like it was pretty well done. It was interesting that it's like, nope, I'm better than the original now, and yet I kind of bought it almost.
I liked it. The idea that he's a Dolores copy, but like infused with William, because
Yeah.
apparently they made it clear with the Caleb stuff that they never really got the whole like just copying a human over to work.
Right.
It always degrades. But so it's interesting that he's still so very William. But I guess they kind of address that too. He's like, the William inside of him basically took over. Yeah, he's like William, but in the end was almost more nihilistic.
Yeah.
I liked it. When they killed the human William, I was like, that's like the last human. That's the
Yeah.
last
Yeah,
like OG
yeah.
human. It's pretty alarming.
Kind of amazing. You know what
wait,
else is amazing?
Wait,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. One more thing, real quick. The whole conceit of like Dolores can then just simulate everything, and that's basically it's not the same, but basically the same, right? Like she can make these people, and they're basically exactly copies of themselves, of who they were. Seemed really dodgy to me, I will say, about like the whole setup at the end of this. But I was watching a YouTube video about it right after we watched the episode, and the guy in that made several points that I was like, that totally makes sense. It's almost like they were setting Dolores up for this. There were several times where she, even just in the season before this last one, where she got uploaded to the machine that like monitored everyone all the time.
Right.
And could predict the future, basically. And so she would have absorbed all the knowledge that it had on everyone and the events of the world. And then, technically, in this last season, she spent however many, I'm guessing maybe 20 years or something. 20, yeah, probably 20 years in that time jump, writing stories and kind of monitoring, even if she knew it or not, humans and this stuff. So like at first it kind of struck me wrong when she's like, I've been watching them for years, the good and the bad, but I feel like every season they've kind of established that she's just been taking in and observing their behaviors and stuff. So that kind of was like, okay, maybe that is enough to sell it for me. It'd be amazing.
It would be amazing. You know what else is amazing?
What's amazing?
We might get a chance to have our own Westworld because engineers at Cornell University have created an artificial material made from DNA. So the biomaterial would have characteristics of living things. Specifically, they'd be able to metabolize, self-assemble, and organize, which are 3 of the key attributes of life. And they're calling the process DASH for DNA-based assembly and synthesis of hierarchies. Okay. And the scientists say that this is not a life form, but just a very life-like material.
A very lifelike form.
Yes. So that's weird and crazy. But
it raises a host of questions.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's the thing that happened, and they're making it, and
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I said it's still in its infancy, in its early stages of it, but that should be able to move, and it should be able to self-heal, kind of a little bit. Eventually, like how we get cuts and then whatever, and its energy would come from metabolizing rather than like a battery.
Does it look like a vat of milk?
I don't know. It only showed DNA strands. It didn't actually show the substance itself in the article that I read.
Oh, okay. Because in Westworld, when they make like robots, they're always coming out of like this vat of milk.
Mm-hmm. No, it just showed, like I said, some strands of DNA, or not even real DNA. It's like, how they do where they have like a line and it's got little darker parts and lighter parts. How they show DNA like that. That's what it had, pictures of the DNA from the lab.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
like it's not alive. We swear. We know what happened to that one Google researcher who got fired for talking about AI that it was alive.
Yeah, and we've seen Westworld.
Right.
Well, it's just, they were like, we can maybe put movies on DNA, and now they're like, we're going to use DNA to create a whole new material that's not alive.
That is an odd, sudden pivot, but not alive?
Right.
We're not making Frankensteins. What do you mean?
Yeah. But they did say specifically also in the article that they wanted to use it to create lifelike robots, which, I don't know about that, but I guess if you're going to try to make a lifelike robot, making a lifelike material to be that robot would be helpful.
Even more real doll.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
That reminds me, wasn't what I was going to talk about, but they also found a way that they can, because they have a difficult time putting sensors on things because they usually have to put it on the outside. Others get crushed in the middle. But on the outside, it ends up getting damaged a lot too. But now they've decided that if they print or 3D print or create things with air pockets inside that are connected, then they can put the sensors inside and just they can read the airflow or the pressure in each of the little sections, and they'll be able to use that as sensors to know where the pressure's coming from and what's happening. So I thought that was pretty fascinating too. If they combine the two of those, then they'll be able to have a thing that can have lifelike qualities and can basically feel.
Right. Interesting. It's robot. It's Westworld.
Yeah, but I'm not really worried about it because as great as our building materials are becoming, the AI is really far from actually being
right.
intelligent by itself.
But it's gonna take our jobs.
Jobs.
Only Bernard will do that, and only if he needs them.
Man, I'll take a whole season at least of just the Bernard show,
Right.
where he knows everything and
Yeah,
just walking around
That was
being cool.
Really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you live.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's you.
Yeah.
One time it was even Stubbs. I love that. That's so good.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss that character. Like
Yeah.
they gotta work him in, right? Like he's got to be back. I didn't even care about him in the maybe the first or second season of Westworld, but like he's really grown on me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Especially this season, because he's one of the few characters is like, whatever, I'm just along for the ride. I'm going to crack jokes and I'm just here. What do you need?
Like
What
he
are we
has
doing?
evolved. He has evolved into an aware host, but like he's never cared about it. Like he was one of those hosts that didn't know he was a host, and then when he found out he was a host, and he's like, "Well," and that's it. And he's been that character ever since. All these other ones that gained some form of enlightenment either became Bernard or became Dolores, or also became Dolores, or became Maeve. You know, like they all like did something with it. Not Stubbs. Stubbs is like, nope. Basically, I am a bodyguard, and I'm I'm gonna bodyguard you.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like, but I think that is what it is. It's his purpose was to serve people, basically. You know,
Right.
In a very like real way, like be there for them. And the others were more like, I'm in my head and I'm going to create things. And they want for them, it feels more like they're just there for themselves, I think. And so it's easier for him to be like, okay, well, I'm a wall. That's my purpose. I'm here to protect people. That's what I do. That's all I need to be concerned with. There's, the rest of it is beyond me.
You might go so far as to say that like he's been the most successful host in the entire show, at least up until this season.
Right. No,
and even then he was successful. He did his purpose.
There was never any he never had any existential crisis. He's just like, oh, I'm a host. Well, I'm gonna keep doing what I was doing, and he seems to kind of have a good time sometimes. He cracks jokes a lot, so
yeah, he's just not unsettled by any of it.
He seems like such a plain Jane Chad at the beginning. It's so weird that he's one of my favorite characters this season. He's one of the ones that, as the season went, I'm like, they can't. I mean, they're gonna kill him, I'm sure, but they can't. Come on, man.
And ultimately, that is the success of Westworld, particularly this season, is the character stuff, because it's all character stuff. Beyond the plot, it's the big ideas and the characters.
Yeah. This season made me care about the main character from last season, who I didn't care about then.
Right.
So.
Yeah. He's better this season by far. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the better, creepy loops of the season, too.
Right. Yeah, that is the thing where it really plays on the point of, it doesn't matter. I think the show's definitely long since kind of taken the stance that it doesn't matter if they're human or a robot. And the whole Caleb thing really kind of enforces that, because you want him to win, regardless which version you're watching. You're watching Caleb. You want him to win. You want him to keep going.
Yeah, and you don't even care that it's not even the original Caleb, because you just want to see him get reunited with his daughter.
Right. Okay. Good stuff. It's a weird doing a Friday stream. We got none of the regulars, and we got people on Twitch and YouTube. So thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching and chiming in with your interesting comments.
Yep.
In terms of comments that sometimes come in from those two platforms specifically, these are welcome.
We'll take them.
Yep.
Weird spam bots and stuff we occasionally get.
Yeah.
Hey, so I released an album today.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You should check it out. Superscience.xyz. It's a website. Go there. That's got links to everywhere because it's on Spotify. It's on Apple Crapple. Yeah. It's on YouTube. It's on everywhere. But if
they can support you at Bandcamp, though, right? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if I get a cut of it regardless where you buy it, but Bandcamp is definitely a bigger cut. And I got all my albums are on CD now. I did that this week as well. They're all on CD. I don't know why I took the time to do it because nobody's buying CD. But you know what? If you want, they're all on CD now, and you can order all of them. You can get a whole set. And if you didn't know, and you wouldn't because there's no pictures of it anywhere online yet, because I'm waiting on my box of CDs. I plan this from day one. They're numbered on the spine. I think you got one of the original Blood albums.
The first one, yeah. The first two, right? Yeah.
And those have numbers on the spine because you got to collect them all.
There you go. Yep.
But anyway, yeah.
Speaking of supporting things, we almost forgot to do it because our cat dancer is not here for the cattiest cat episode we have done, where we talk about Sandman, Dream of 1,000 Cats. Yeah. And Savannah is our cat dancing tier patron over at patreon.com/Grawlix podcast. And you can be one too, or just any kind of patron by donating as little as $1 a month, and then you get all the pizza.
All the pizza. Listen, so we might talk about some old topics on some of them because they've been around for a while, but there's over 60 bonus episodes that have never hit public before. They're just for you. Right. If you're a supporter.
If you're a puppet enthusiast, you can tell us to watch Ken Burns documentaries.
And we'll begrudgingly do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to come up. I'm gonna have to put some clauses and some stuff. I think.
Yeah. Adjust that one. That's far too much power for $5.
Yep. All right. Yeah. Patreon.com/Grawlix podcast if you want to do that. Join Savannah and all the other patrons of current and previous times. Because even if you're patron for a little bit and then you bounce out, we don't forget you.
Never.
Can't be forgotten. Isn't there like a really good Humble Bundle deal right now too?
Is there? I haven't looked.
I feel like there was something new that dropped. There's always something really cool that drops on Humble Bundle. And you can help us out there by going to grawlixpodcast.com/humble.
Yep, we're a humble partner, so we will that will redirect you through our affiliate link. Let's see.
Well, there's another Pathfinder bundle for those gamers. Well, maybe the one I was thinking of is already gone, but that one's pretty cool.
Do they not have a normal comics bundle? They've been so good. I mean, they don't always have to have a comics bundle.
Oh, Resident Evil. That was one that I was thinking of. Like, that's a really good deal for Resident Evil games if you're into that. If you're into that series.
Oh yeah, that's like all the main titles.
Right.
Oh, including the. Oh no, is that is that the original 2? Or is that like a remake 2? Man, I don't even know what they've remade. They're just remaking them now.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, that's like right up to the most recent ones. Cool. Resident Evil. Man, that's a show we fell off of.
Yeah.
We'll have to go back to it at some point.
That's their own fault for making their character do this.
So dumb.
The most stupid thing they could possibly do.
There's so many good shows out there that, like, you really just can't fumble.
No.
If you want to hold an audience.
It's true. It's true, man. Like
even shows like Lock and Key have kind of lost me because I will have to go back and rewatch the first season because the first season felt like I really get the first half and then off to the races, and then I'm like, I don't even know what's going on in the show anymore. And I'm not going to watch season 2 if I didn't understand the end of season 1. And now there's season 3.
Season 3 is the last season. I know that much.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yep. They concluded it. We fell off of that show early. I don't think we got as far as you did. I don't know why.
Oh.
I think it's my doing, but
Yeah,
it's my doing. What?
It was.
I'm sorry. Well, we can check it out. At least we know they knew it was the final season. That's so much better than watching a show, getting invested, and then it's just done.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Man, Glow wouldn't be such a sore thing if I didn't know they were actively filming the 4th season when they got canceled.
They pulled a Batgirl on us. Except I feel like Batgirl was even closer to done.
I think it was. I think it was.
It is such baffling news. I don't understand.
Right.
It.
I don't think I even realized Batgirl was a thing, and it wouldn't annoy me as much. But Michael Keaton was back as Batman.
Yeah.
How are you going to cancel that?
And Brendan Fraser was Firebug, which is an interesting Bat villain that we've never seen in a live action that I'm aware of. If so, it was like on the Arrowverse or something. I don't know.
Do you think it was bad?
I don't know that it could have been worse than Morbius.
Good
I
point.
haven't seen it.
Good point. It's Morbin time.
It can't be worse than some of the Venom movies. And it had to be cheaper to make than the Venom movies. I think it would net. I'm pretty sure it would get its money back.
I'm kind of bummed because it definitely seems like it's the end of the because I don't even know if I think there was potentially talk of Batgirl was just going to go straight to streaming, not even necessarily theatrical. Although even 90 million for a superhero movie is kind of a small budget, which is ridiculous. Right. But it's even 90 million, and you'd think they'd go theatrical. But I'm kind of bummed because, man, I was kind of digging the big, and I know this is partially because of the pandemic, but I was digging the big budget, going straight to streaming movies.
Yeah.
HBO Max, Mortal Kombat and King Kong, Godzilla vs. King Kong, or however the order was. Some of those going right to streaming was awesome.
Right. Well, even Wonder Woman, which was arguably not a great movie, but yeah.
But it
went directly to HBO Max.
Was so much cheaper than going to the movies. It's not a cheap time going to the movies.
Oh man, yeah. I would have been mad if I had gone to that movie in the theaters. And I didn't hate it as much as everybody else did. But yeah, it wouldn't have felt like I was like, wow, I spent movie ticket price money on that.
There hasn't been a lot that's hit. Oh, I guess I'm very curious about Nope.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I know we already talked about it, but we went to the movies not long ago and watched Everywhere, Everything, All at Once. And that was definitely well worth the price and well worth going. That was a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
And I have high expectations for Nope. I have high hope for Nope.
I have hope for Nope.
And so I'd be willing to go there. But, man, I can't think of what else has really kind of demanded it. What was that? Oh.
There's a goat in your house?
Echo makes the weirdest noises. Yeah, that's him trying to get my attention.
Wait, Thor. We went and watched Thor.
Thor was
too,
good.
Didn't we? That wasn't that long ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Wow. My sense of time. Speaking of, I suppose, let's wrap this up. Hey, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Jesse, was there anything else you wanted to mention? You got anything going on?
I don't think so.
Okay.
If I do, it's really meaningless in the grand scheme of life.
Oh, no. I somehow knew it.
Especially if we're all just a simulation anyways, Dolores. No, I just had to bring it back full circle. I started so dark, I had to end it on that note, too.
You think they'll have people come up and be like, Dolores, you're misremembering me wrong. I'm pretty sure I was 30 pounds lighter.
Yeah, right, yeah. Come on.
You're misremembering me wrong.
It's fine.
It's a double negative.
So negative.
Oh no, he's gonna latch onto it. He's gonna latch onto it. All right, thanks everybody. Have a good weekend.
Yep. Bye-bye.
And they really is the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually there's like a day, and I'm like, all right, bye everybody.